Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're journeying to one of the most remote inhabited islands on Earth, Easter Island, or as its native people call it, Rapa Nui. This tiny speck of land in the southeastern Pacific Ocean is famous for its towering stone statues, the Moai, but beyond these enigmatic figures lies an even greater mystery, a puzzle that has stumped linguists and historians for over a century, the Rongorongo script. Imagine a system of writing so unique, so isolated, that we still can't read a single word of it. That's Rongorongo. It's a series of glyphs, or pictograms, carved into wooden tablets. These aren't just random doodles. They represent a sophisticated, structured script, one of the very few independent writing systems ever invented in human history. The name itself, Rongorongo, means to recite, to declaim, to chant out in the Rapa Nui language. This suggests that tablets were more than just records. They were likely aids for chanting or storytelling, holding the cultural and historical memory of a people. So what do these glyphs look like? They are fascinating. You'll see stylized human figures in various poses: birds, fish, turtles, plants, and even celestial objects like crescent moons. The level of detail is incredible. The symbols are arranged in neat, parallel lines. But here's where it gets really strange. The script is written in a system called reverse boustrophedon. That means you read one line from left to right. Then you have to physically flip the tablet 180 degrees to read the next line, which also runs left to right. Then you flip it back, and so on. No other known writing system in the world works this way. This unique feature alone tells us that Rongorongo developed in complete isolation, a true product of Rapa Nui ingenuity. The story of their discovery is just as intriguing. The first Westerners to report the script were French missionaries in the 1860s. By then, the culture of Rapa Nui had been devastated by disease and slave raids from Peru. The old ways were fading. When the missionaries asked the islanders what the tablets said, no one could tell them. The knowledge was lost. The elders who knew how to read and write the script had either perished in the raids or died from introduced diseases. It was a cultural catastrophe. The key to unlocking their own history had been snatched away from the Rapa Nui people, just as the outside world was beginning to learn of its existence. Only about 24 of these wooden artifacts are known to have survived. They are now scattered in museums all around the world, from Tahiti to London, Brussels to Santiago. Most are tablets, but the script also appears on a staff, a birdman statue, and a few other objects. The wood itself is a clue. Some of it appears to be from the Portia tree, known locally as Moai, but others are made from driftwood, a scarce and valuable resource on an island with very few native trees. This tells us how important these texts were. The creators used whatever precious material they could find to preserve their knowledge. For over 150 years, brilliant minds have tried to crack the code. Many have claimed to have deciphered it, but none of their theories have been widely accepted by the academic community. The challenge is immense. First, we have a very small sample size, only about 14,000 glyphs in total across all the surviving artifacts. To put that in perspective, the Rosetta Stone, which was key to deciphering Egyptian hieroglyphs, had inscriptions in 3 languages. With Rongorongo, we have no such key. We don't have a bilingual text that translates the script into a known language. Furthermore, the modern Rapa Nui language has changed significantly over the centuries. Even if we assume the script represents an older form of the language, we can't be sure what that older form sounded like or what its grammatical structure was. This makes it incredibly difficult to connect the symbols to specific words or sounds. So, what are the main theories about what Rongorongo actually is? Some scholars believe it's a true writing system, or a proto-script, where each glyph represents a word or a syllable, much like Chinese characters or Japanese kana. This is called a logographic or syllabic system. One of the most detailed analyses pointed to a 3-part structure within many glyphs: a head, a body, and a bottom part, suggesting a complex system for creating new words. A specific bird glyph, for example, might be combined with a hand glyph to mean something entirely new. Another popular theory is that Rongorongo isn't a full writing system at all, but a mnemonic device. In this view, the glyphs don't represent specific sounds or words, but rather key ideas, events, or lineages. They would act as a memory aid for a trained chanter or priest who already knew the full story and just needed a visual cue to recite it correctly. This would explain why the knowledge was so easily lost without the trained chanters. The glyphs are just pictures without context. It's like having a list of bullet points for a speech you've never heard. And then there's the question of its origin. When was it invented? This is a huge point of debate. One school of thought suggests that the Rapa Nui people were inspired to create their own script after seeing European writing for the first time, following Spanish contact in 1770. The Spanish had the islanders sign a treaty of annexation, and it's possible the sight of written language spurred a local leader to develop a system of their own. However, many others, including many Rapa Nui people themselves, believe the script is much older, a pre-contact invention. Oral traditions on the island state that the legendary founder, Hatumatua, brought 67 tablets with him when he first arrived on the island hundreds of years before European contact. If true, this would make Rongorongo one of the few independently invented writing systems in world history, a monumental achievement for such a small, isolated society. Recent carbon dating of one of the tablets supports this older origin, dating the wood to the 15th century, long before any Europeans arrived. However, this only dates the wood, not the carving itself, so the debate continues. So, where does that leave us today? The quest to decipher Rongorongo is very much alive. Researchers are using modern technology, like digital imaging and statistical analysis, to find patterns in the glyphs. They compare the frequency of certain symbols, look for repeated sequences, and try to link them to Rapa Nui mythology and genealogy. For example, some patterns seem to align with lunar calendars or astronomical events, suggesting some tablets might have been used for agriculture or ritual timing. One particularly famous tablet, known as the Moai tablet, seems to contain a lunar calendar, as its glyphs correspond to the nights of the moon and associated fertility rituals. The potential breakthrough is tantalizing. If we could read the Rongorongo script, what would it tell us? It could reveal the history of the Rapa Nui people in their own words. We might finally understand the purpose of the Moai statues, the details of the Birdman cult, and the true story behind the ecological collapse that befell the island. It could give us insights into their social structure, their religion, their poetry, and their science. It would be like discovering a library from a lost world. The mystery of Rongorongo is more than just an academic puzzle. It's a poignant reminder of the fragility of culture and the tragedy of lost knowledge. For the Rapa Nui people today, it is a vital part of their heritage, a symbol of their ancestors' intelligence and resilience. Efforts are underway on the island to revitalize the culture, and the Undeciphered script stands as a powerful emblem of that identity. It represents a voice from the past that is waiting, patiently, to be heard once more. We can only hope that one day, we will finally learn to listen. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into one of history's greatest linguistic mysteries. What do you think the Rongorongo tablets say? Let me know your theories in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more explorations into the fascinating corners of our world. See you next time.